We on?
Well, I was running the countdown, but you know what? I didn't make it to it in time. So we're on. Welcome, Robbie. How are you, buddy?
I am good, man. I am in my satellite studio from Panama City Beach. We had the forecast called for rain all week, but we chanced it, came down anyways, and it's been wonderful weather, and so can't complain.
Man,
Heading back to Tennessee tomorrow, though. So,
yeah, and I'm
good
fired up
last
for
night sharing it
football.
with everyone.
There's no doubt when you're a Tennessee alumni, when you wear it, it stands out. I mean, I look like a criminal right now on TV or on this. But we were going to have our countdown, and Raj, there's nothing to say. Raj runs on Central Indian time. He'll be here in about 10 minutes, and that's all we're going to have to say about it. So somewhere between Eastern and Central is Raj time. So, Robbie, I went to a live football game this weekend. High school game, probably about 2,500, 3,000 people there. If I was guessing, everybody. So I was happy with some things. I was surprised by some, and it was everybody was temperature checked coming in, which I thought was good. And that's TSS a requirement. Mask, they followed the governor's mandate of no mask. So no one was wearing mask. I was in a press box, so I felt secure not wearing my mask, but there were very few in the stadium. But I was really surprised that there was no social distancing, we really still got to be a little bit careful right now. I know we're all excited and stuff, but a few precautions might save football season later on.
Yeah, I think that even so, and I've said it on here, I've said it, anyone who knows me knows I've been saying this, please get vaccinated. As everyone's probably aware, the FDA approved Pfizer, Moderna's coming next, Johnson Johnson's coming next. They're safe, they're effective. Please get vaccinated because we all do want to get back to normal life, as close to it as we are. We're not here to necessarily preach about
Absolutely
science.
not.
But yes, and I was looking, like, LSU announced today that to enter Tiger Stadium, you're going to have to show proof of vaccination or negative COVID test. The governor has prevented Neyland Stadium from doing that, which in my opinion is stupid. Like, you have the vaccine, or you can take a rapid test and show you're negative to stop this, because I can tell you the last thing that the universities can afford, that people can afford, is empty stadiums again. Like, we can't go backwards again. And it's from the high school level to the college level to the pro level. Like college sports, they can take loans out off this TV contracts they have, and so can the NFL. High school sports, not so much. Like, that revenue has to come in from concession stands, from ticket sales. And so this is all very important. And so, yes, I know it's hot. It's in Tennessee. It's warm this time of year. No one wants to wear a mask. I don't wear a mask either. But yeah, do your part. And this vaccine, or this virus, is by no means under control or even getting under control. Like, we all have to stay on. I know we're tired of it, and I know people are tired of talking about it. I'm tired of talking about it, but it is still the number one thing that's going on right now in the world still. And so to be mindful of it, you wouldn't put, if there's, poisonous Tylenol, you don't give your child Tylenol and risk it, because it's poisonous. Like, you just have to just do what's best.
Well, and for my child, she's not eligible for the vaccine. She's under 12.
Mm-hmm.
So that is a concern for me. I would encourage, and again, we're not political. And matter of fact, I think Robbie and I are probably on two ends of the political spectrum. And, I've made it, I've revealed that I work for the Marion Messenger and Duke Rothstein. Duke was a very staunch supporter of the new regime. And Duke and I are as close as two people can be. It's not political anymore. It's human common sense, It's not Republican and Democrat. It's common sense.
Randall, I think that's a great point that you made. That yes, you and I probably couldn't be more different of opinions on most things politically, but it's just, hey, we're sports fans and we want it to be back, and we want everyone to feel safe. Like, and I'm a season ticket holder, and you are too, at Neyland Stadium. And when I heard that today, I was just like, man, I was hoping they were going to go the other way. And I don't know. I mean, I'm sure I'll go. I've been vaccinated. I trust the science, but
I do
it
too.
just makes it uncomfortable. And I mean, I'll wear my mask, and I mean, I'm fine. I've done that. Did it at Titans games all season long. Did Thompson Bowling. I'm fine with it, but I wish we could get back to not having to do it.
So, and just Roger will be joining us in a minute. And I just wanted to say that we're kind of making a commitment ourselves to our fantasy league to have COVID tests available to each other. And I don't find a problem in the world with, I'm vaccinated. But to come to our draft, we're making COVID tests available. And it don't seem that ridiculous to me that we're doing this. It seems logical. We're all brothers and best friends. We don't want to give each other the virus.
Well, yeah. So I'm coming back from Florida tomorrow. The numbers are bad in Florida. I will go and take I'll test because of the way it goes. I'll take a test every single day until Saturday, and we're on Saturday, making sure that I don't have, because I couldn't live with myself if I got one of you guys sick, or one of your kids. I mean, most of y'all have kids, and if I got your kids sick, and because the Delta variant's attacking kids now, and it's terrifying.
Yep. And like I said, I'm still committed. And the one thing I do like about the vaccine, and I do know but it doesn't work in this situation. It doesn't work in that. I feel very strongly that I'm able to go into public with no fear because I am vaccinated. Doesn't mean I cannot get COVID. I understand that. Yep. But the likelihood is minute compared to what it was before. So yes. I'm definitely encouraging everyone to do that. But let's say football season. There's a meme going around Facebook that says if you tell everybody in the South they could save football season by wearing a mask and taking a shot, it would be done already. That's what we need to start preaching, is save football by taking a couple of shots.
Well, I don't want to get political, but it's hard to not get political when people in politics are making stupid decisions. Like the fact that LSU is mandating the vaccine for people coming there, it's going to increase the vaccination rate. Alabama and Auburn are not allowed to do that because of the politics. And same Republican governor in Louisiana, Republican governor in Alabama, Republican governor in Tennessee. And so it is just to a different level. Just do the right thing and don't kill your voters, and you'll probably get reelected.
That's the funny thing. I had a fairly heated argument today with another Republican about the vaccine. And I'm like, why has this got to be? This is not political. I'm sorry. It's not political. If you do not want to take it, you have that right. But I also have my right to ask you to distance yourself from me. I do. And entering the stadium vaccinated is your protection too. So we didn't mean to get on that. And Roger will be joining us in a second. But I greatly enjoyed being at live football, Robbie, though. Greatly enjoyed it.
I'm looking forward to it. I'm sad I'm missing the Thursday night kickoff. I've been waiting my whole adult life for a weekday Tennessee game, and I'm actually going to be flying to Tahoe. So I'm sad that I'm going to miss it. Are you going to the game?
I am not, and it's nothing to do with COVID. It's hard for me the second week out of my daughter starting middle school to ask her to miss a day of school. As much as I love Tennessee football, I feel like being a parent. I was going, and I asked myself as a parent, what is best? And I was like, I probably don't need to go. The next week, Annalee's going to some friend's house for that game. And then I'm going to consider whether she should go to a Tennessee game or not. I'm going to test the waters a couple of times, and then we'll see if she goes. I also, unfortunately, have a game that's halfway across the state that Friday night, too. And it's just, I was like, oh, wow, can my schedule break worse? We play in Cannon County, and then Tennessee plays Thursday night, late night. Then I have to travel to Cannon the next day for a high school game. I was like, and I may very well go to the Mocs game. They're playing Thursday night too. So
I did not know that. Yeah, they're gonna be good.
I think I am going to go to the Mocs game and just get it out of the way. Still waiting on a Raj to join us, buddy. If you're out there, come on in. The one thing that I really didn't know how to process with being at live football, though, is it was almost surreal that I almost felt guilty that I was there. You know, you're like, am I really supposed to be here? Am I really? But at the end of the night, it was a good time, and the numbers are up. There's 4 games canceled in our area this week already, so we certainly don't need to start. The kids went back to school without mask, and now they have masks, and I think that'll slow that down a little bit.
Yeah, and that's it. I mean, you hope that we're, for better or worse, putting a lot of pressure on kids to do what they need to do, and parents are on each side of this thing. But at the end of the day, I mean, you know, when I was younger, what my parents told me to do, I probably would have done the opposite. And so hopefully in some of these smaller towns, the kids are, I mean, ultimately they want that, you know, you have a daughter. I'm sure she wants to get back to school. She wants to do what what she's used to doing. I mean, my wife works at school. They hate this virtual stuff.
She is a champ with the mask, my daughter. She's a champ. Because last thing she wants to do is go virtual again, like you said.
Well, you know, and it's one of those things like, hey, football players, you have to wear a mouthpiece. You know why? Because it protects you from biting your tongue off. And you have to wear a face mask. You have to wear a helmet. You have to wear pads. So it all protects you. And so kids do it, you know, it's just one of those levels of protection.
Absolutely. Robbie, let's go sidebar for just a second while we wait on our dear friend. I know it's football season, and there is no 2 bigger fans of Tennessee basketball than yourself and I. Tennessee basketball reports the 1st of October. I'm going to have to fight myself for the first time ever to keep from doing the jump over and go straight from, okay, football started, basketball, Midnight Madness, that's what I want to see. Are you struggling a little with that yourself too?
Well, 3-Man Weave just came out, had Tennessee ranked 13th. I think that's about probably accurate for where they start with a whole new team coming back. I don't know if you saw us today. We did lose out on a recruit who picked Indiana.
I watched.
Oh no! Oh no!
Yeah.
Oh no!
But yeah, no, I'm excited about basketball season. I think, you know, us, Kentucky, the SEC, throwing Alabama, Arkansas. But I mean, 13, I think, three-man weaves got us about right. Some of our friends, Dave expects a Final Four championship or bust every single year, or Rick Barnes should be fired. But he's a lunatic. But
Hey,
I
isn't
think,
three-man weave? I'm sorry to interrupt, but I had to. Isn't three-man weave like a bunch of 19-year-old nerds that never played the game? Hey,
well,
speaking
it's
of,
like,
back to you, Robbie.
I think it's I think it's Will Warren in there, like part of his group. I think I may be wrong about that. Though they get statistical breakdowns on every game.
Well, I mean, they're content hustlers, and I respect that. I don't respect the analysis that much because I feel like none of those dudes ever played. Not that I ever played at a collegiate level or anything great. But if you want content and you're starved in the middle of, July, that's where you go.
Hey,
and respect to them for what they produce.
How you feeling after surgery?
Not bad, I appreciate you asking. It's outpatient, so I was walking that day. Each day is getting better, but from what I've been told by various physicians, the nerve can be mad at you for up to a year, and I'm sensing that. It's weird. It'll just hurt at random periods, but it doesn't hurt where it hurt the most before, so I'm good with it. Thanks to Randall for helping me out with some lidocaine patches that he got from across the border. I believe they were illegal, but super
They're
helpful.
legal.
And rats. But no, I appreciate you asking. Much better. I'm able to sit now in a chair, which is nice. Although I am supposed to get every 20 minutes and walk around. But yeah,
So,
I mean, I've got this mesh thing on my back. It's like a Dermabond super glue, and just trying to walk every day. I walk like I'm 90 and or have been in prison. That's probably terrible, but I'm getting there. So I appreciate it very much.
I want to do a quick check because we had so many issues last week. You're about every fifth word's coming in and out for me, Raj. Robbie, are you having the same effect with him?
Yeah, a little bit.
How are you hearing me, Robbie?
You're good.
We're running on a clean server, even though I just cut my phone off somehow. I don't know how I did that.
How about now? Is that better?
Yeah, that sounds better.
That is better. That's clean. So, welcome to 3R Sports. Raj, I did say you were on Central Indian Time, so that probably was bad, but it was.
You're looking for Indian Standard Time. IST is what you're going for.
IST, I got it. Well, welcome to 3R Sports. Robbie and I just had a great talk about protecting yourself in these days, and let's get sports back to
Hey, I even made a little money today on GameStop. I hope you guys saw that little rocket ship go off today.
Hey, let me. You use this format to kill one certain gambling site.
You know what he doing?
Send me my dang money, man. I'm switching because you can't withdraw money from Robinhood. How am I supposed to?
Robinhood is the biggest bunch of crooks that I can't even believe they were allowed to go public after what they did. And then, you know what? They're still going down. And what happened, not financial advice, just theory of what happened today, is one of the big hedge funds just rolled over on the other one and just said, you know what? We're buying GameStop and then an AMC, and it just shot off. And whoever's shorting it the most is going to be stuck holding the bag. 30% rise today. I'll take it.
Was that in AMC and GameStop?
Oh, it was about
24.
I think it was about 45% total for both of them.
Nice. Well, guys, let's get headed towards the direction we're going to go today. Today we've decided to well, first of all, Robbie, I'm not going to ask you no fantasy questions. That was there were some great ones submitted via our league to ask you. There is going to be a section tonight. Is everybody going to? I need everybody to have a pen and a piece of paper at the end of the show. All right,
Phoebe.
We're going to do some fantasy predictions at the end of the show. But let's start with college football, where we're kind of at to start with. The top 25 released this week, and it was pretty standard to what I thought. But quickly, let's go through it. Alabama number 1. Is anybody?
What?
Get reactions later.
That's preposterous.
You're kidding me.
Alabama number 1, Oklahoma number 2, Clemson number 3, Ohio State, Brandon Chain number 4, Georgia 5, Texas A&M 6, Iowa State 7, Cincinnati 8, Notre Dame 9th, North Carolina 10th, Oregon, the Ducks check in at 11, Wisconsin 12, Florida is a team I'm going to talk about shortly. 13 seems aggressive for the Gators. Miami of Florida, USC moves up 6 spots in the offseason. LSU, not ranked last year, now comes in at 16. Another team I'm going to talk about in a minute, Indiana falls from last poll of 20 from 12 to 17. Iowa is at 18. Penn State 19. Washington at 20. Future SEC member Texas is 21. Coastal Carolina, which we'll talk about too, at 22. Louisiana Lafayette at 23. Utah at 24. And Arizona State, a team I picked to be in the Big 12 or the Pac-12 championship game at 25. We'll start with you, Robbie. Gut reactions to the poll.
All right, so we'll do a little overrated, underrated.
I got 3 for each, so that's what I'm going off of.
I got the same. So
Cool. You
for
start.
me, overrated. Looking at this board, so I got 3 teams. 2 of them have one theme, and then one of them I just don't feel right about it. So I'll start with the common theme. I think these 2 coaches are overrated, and the programs are just kind of sold as brand names, and they're not going to be that good. Sorry, Raj. Number 1 is USC. I do not have
worries.
them the 15th team in the country. Clay
What is
Helton,
15 though? Is that good? I think 15 is kind of embarrassing. That's why I left them like in
Hey,
limbo.
we're Tennessee, folks. We'd sell our soul to be 15. Move on.
Well, yeah, no, I'm
Keep
just
going,
saying. I just think they're overrated. They're not the 15th best team in the country. And then the other one I've got is Penn State. I just, Franklin benefited from a growing Nashville area and a horrible Florida and Tennessee time frame at Vanderbilt. I just don't buy into that guy. So I think Penn State's overrated. And then Florida, they lost a lot of talent.
They did.
And to be there at 13, I know the SEC is weak. But I still I respect Dan Mullen. I think Dan Mullen's the second or third best coach in the SEC. But I just think they've got to rebuild a lot, even though the SEC East is weak. I think Florida's overrated, and honorable mention, I think LSU is way overrated at 16.
Good takes. Raj, let's go with your overrated, and then we'll all come around to our underrated.
I don't want to rehash, but I agree entirely. As for USC, yeah, I mean, they have, again, I said it before, their first string is full of next level players, 4 stars. The depth sucks, and the coach is an idiot. He's a circus donkey, as I call him. However, I'd like to think, the schedule's favorite, relatively, positive. Can't even think right now. And they're NFL players across the board, whether it be Slovis, his backup, who don't be surprised if Slovis gets unseated or gets a mystery injury. And that being Jackson Dart. That kid's amazing. Out of Utah, he was the National Player of the Year. Can just sling it. Drake Jackson, Corey Foreman, both monsters on the edge. Corey Foreman's the number 1 rated recruit, depending on your service. Blah, blah, blah. Just tons of talent. But, yeah, I mean, that's why I thought if they were 10, 11, 9, 8, 7, I would have called them overrated. 14, 15, whatever. I agree entirely with Florida. I believe, actually, I checked, and I'm big on returning starters and returning experience. And the SEC doesn't have a lot. And Florida is 108th in the country in terms of returning production. Mind you, that doesn't include injuries. Now we throw on top, arguably, like the two greatest offensive players in their history. I mean, Danny Werfel aside, but at least combination-wise, Riddell Anthony and Werfel and some of those receivers. But Kyle Pitts is unlike anyone that we've ever seen, in my opinion. And he and Trask, you don't just replace those guys and end up number 13 in the country, because you're going to get put in a situation pretty early on where you don't have the guys that you need to go to. And you're going to fail, and they're going to lose multiple games. The other SEC team that I had, actually, not just because they're SEC, is A&M. I'm not a Jimbo Fisher fan. Never have been. I think, like USC, they have outstanding players in Spiller Jr. at running back, Marvin Neal, who I think has been there 98 times.
I had A&M and I marked them out. I'm with you there, Raj. I was close.
Just a lot of, and I love that running back wide receiver kid, kind of like David Montgomery, Aeneas Smith, and then they have that tight end, Widemeyer, whatever, Jalen. The kid's 6'5", like 270, and he runs like a freight train. But A&M is a better USC. Not great coaching. The depth isn't there, and not to mention they lost their all-conference or second-team, third-team quarterback. Number 6 in the country is super aggressive, man. I don't even see it. And then, unfortunately, Robbie and I think very similarly, which is why I go to therapy. The traditional powers, USC aside, Penn State, I mentioned Florida, LSU. Penn State and LSU were entirely unranked last year with borderline losing seasons, and suddenly they're in the top 20. Like, I don't get it. What have you done for me lately needs to be applied further. However, the preseason poll only exists for fodder. It shouldn't come out until week 4. But then again, a bunch of us fat, lifeless ding-dongs would have nothing to talk about. So basically, Rob and I share the same. Randall, do you have anybody outside of the teams that we discussed?
Oh, yeah. I'm about to beat up on some people.
Sweet.
All right.
Here we go. I don't care how good Louisiana Lafayette is. They're not a top 25 team. I can line up 25 teams that can beat Lafayette by 30 points. So if you put them in the top 25, at least, let's find out if they can play with Texas, which is my other overrated. And honestly, they play September the 4th. I think Texas is so overrated. They were so bad last year, they fired their coach. Bring in a coach that do we know whether Stark's a good head coach or not? We don't really know.
We know he's not good. We just don't know he's not sober.
We know Lafayette. If Lafayette beats Texas, then they deserve to be there. I'm struck. When I looked at the teams, I went, Oklahoma State beats Lafayette. Ole Miss beats Lafayette. TCU beats Lafayette. Auburn beats Lafayette. North Carolina State beats Lafayette. Michigan beats Lafayette. Northwestern and these are all teams that were in the other got votes category. So we got to put a mid-major in there and make them feel good. I don't have near the heartache with Coastal Carolina because they kind of proved it on a little larger stage last year than Texas, name brand. I don't think if it wasn't Texas with a new coach, they would not be in the top 25. I think Oklahoma State is a better football team in Texas in the same conference. One other statement I will make is somewhere in this world, we got to start respecting Indiana. So if you got Indiana at 17 and LSU at 16, you've just gave me heartburn. LSU at the end of the year might have been playing as bad as anyone in the SEC not wearing orange jerseys. I mean, I don't know how LSU goes from, what were they, 3-6, 2-7, something like that. to a top 25 team. And one other team I'll throw in there for a bonus. Is Notre Dame the ninth best team in this country? Is it Notre Dame that got them to number 9? So that was my first impressions. Does anybody else have a problem with Lafayette being 24?
I mean,
More of a problem with Notre Dame, but go ahead, Rob.
So I'm going to be contrarian to you guys, it looks like. Well, no, I mean, 23, 24, 25, I don't really care who's that rating. So for my underrated, I've got Indiana.
Definitely.
Notre Dame. So I think Notre Dame is actually underrated in here. And
Why?
I've got Oregon, and I'll tell you each why. So Indiana had a fantastic year, pushed Ohio State to the brink. Ohio State went to the playoff. You get another year under the Tom Allen system. They haven't recruited great. They're never going to recruit great, though. It's much more like the Boise State, the Iowa State mentality. Like, hey, we'll get people that fit our system, and we'll try to compete. Running our system, running our coaching staff, doing that systematically. So I think Indiana at 17 is underrated. So Notre Dame, they get it, this is almost impossible to say and make sense because of all the conference media days and all this. Notre Dame is underlooked preseason because they have no hype.
Good point.
And so you have SEC media days, Big Ten media days, Big 12 media days, all these things. Notre Dame made the playoffs last year, guys. They beat Clemson without Trevor Lawrence, and they probably shouldn't have made it. They probably wouldn't have made it. They didn't play in the ACC. But nonetheless, them sitting there at 9 behind Cincinnati, behind Iowa State, behind A&M. I think Notre Dame's not grossly underrated, but I would probably put them at 5, 6, 7 range.
Who's the quarterback? It's a Wisconsin kid? Jack,
Yes.
whatever.
Yeah. And then I've got Oregon at 11. I think they roll the Pac-12 North, and I think they're sitting there with a decent chance. And we'll get into this later because I think if Clemson loses step 1, they're out. And so I think this is maybe the year the Pac-12 can sneak into the playoff. And so I think Oregon sitting there, Cristobal's a good coach. I've got him as they got those 3 as my most underrated teams.
Interesting. Notre Dame didn't make my 3 cut, but I definitely think they're overrated a little bit.
So you overrated.
Raj?
Yeah, I agree with Notre Dame. Dude from Wisconsin, I can't remember his name.
Jack Owen.
Chaka, exactly. He transferred for a reason, and sure, they're a run-oriented offense up there. They weren't much of an offense in any regard. From what I saw of him, he didn't really display an ability to drop back. Again, at Notre Dame, though, they've got a monster running back. You know, one thing, I've said this many, many times, and yeah, I'm living in the past, but, you know, Pete Carroll started the trend at USC, and Saban followed it. Not a secret, but, you know, almost all of the emphasis was recruiting 5 stars in the trenches. Bama's just got dudes I've never seen before. LSU, very similar. Notre Dame, very similar. Notre Dame, I believe, has had more first-round offensive linemen drafted than anyone else in the last, 5 to 10 years. Again, that's off the cuff, if you will. Bama, of course, you know, you draft one of their monsters, you're probably going to be fine. Raiders did that with Leatherwood. But, you know, Notre Dame, you know, Quentin Nelson, the best guard in the league, you know, their players just come out and their line is just ridiculous. So they're going to generally win the line of scrimmage on both ends, in my opinion, and that's going to keep them in games. But they just have lost a lot. I've said this often. Outside of 4, 5, 6, maybe 7 teams, everyone else is just fighting for, you know, last place or third place, whatever you want to call it. So I guess Notre Dame would be the best of the bunch based on recruiting and trenches. But
Well, so
I think
just
they're overrated.
Real quick, Raj. Notre Dame has their 4 toughest games: Wisconsin at home, Cincinnati at home, USC at home, and UNC at home. All of those are at home.
Yeah. I believe they're – I mean, I know with SC they're home and home. So
I want to ask a question.
I don't think it was strategic.
If they were playing an ACC schedule to be conference championship eligible and they were in the side with Clemson, would you pick Notre Dame or Clemson?
Oh, Clemson.
Okay. How about the side that was out Clemson, the Miami, Florida State side? Would Notre Dame be a clear favorite on that side?
Not clear, but they'd be the favorite over UNC.
Fair enough. Then they're probably
I agree.
Probably rated close to right then. I'm sorry, go ahead.
Yeah,
I think Randall just has to kick dirt on you and I because he just freaking buried us right there, dude. He set us up too. Well done, Randall, you son of a. We just got buried.
I told you, 30 years, man. I know when to get in and get out.
Hey, I thought there was a first time for everything, but that's neither here nor there. Back to underrated. Oregon, I was close to because, like Notre Dame, they are loaded with next level talent. Their offensive line, along with Notre Dame's, ironically rather, will be the best in the country. They have just amazing kids that USC struck out on. We just saw Sewell leave. His brother Noah Sewell's a linebacker. The other linebacker who got hurt last year, Justin Flo, was one of the best five-star linebackers I've seen in probably the last 15 years. He's from Southern California, and he went to Oregon. But their quarterback is going to be – I don't think Oregon knows their identity on offense. I know Verdell is – a player, but they kind of go back to the LaMichael Anthony Thomas, those days where DeAnthony Thomas and LaMichael James, the wannabe Reggie Bush days. Anthony Brown's a transfer from Boston College. I believe Brown's his last name. He likes to get out of the pocket, and then they have Ty Thompson, a true freshman 5-star. They kind of went through this last year. Their identity is up in the air, if you will. And I think Cristobal is a great recruiter, but I don't know if he's a good coach. So I didn't put them in my underrated. Along the same lines as good recruiter, unproven coach is I put Miami in that underrated. The reason why was that Miami is number 3 in the country in terms of returning production. They have an overall return rate of 91%. That's 95% on offense with the return of De'Aaron King, who Pro Football Focus has as one of their top 7, top 10 quarterbacks. A senior who's seen it all, his 5th year, just knows how to move the football, and a leader. On defense, 86% return,
including talking smack to Alabama, though. That's not helping him.
Yeah, I don't even know if they face. Do they face them? Is that the early game?
First game of the year.
Yeah, and
everybody talks.
Done, Raj, I want to say a few words about that after you're done.
Everybody talks trash the first game of the year, but another guy is one of their All-Americans is Bubba Bolden, and I've talked about him before. He has a USC tattoo on his leg. He went to Bishop Gorman in Vegas with Tate Martell. He got removed from USC, who's highly sensitive, because there's been so many mess ups because he got into a verbal altercation with a female volleyball player. But Miami will take anyone, so there you go. Just kidding, kind of. Finally, at least the only other team I want to talk about is Utah. Larry is one of the best coaches in the country. He's done more with less than anyone that I can think of. They take the Southern California kids that were not going to the 5 stars all over the country, and they coach them up, and that must be nice. I don't know. I would love to see that. But quarterback wise, they got Charlie Brewer, and I think Charlie Brewer is a heck of a college quarterback from Baylor, and I think he's going to thrive with Utah's offense. I believe that 5 Pac-12 schools, including Utah, are in the top 20 for returning production. Obviously, that doesn't even include quarterback, where I think they got better. They lost Ty Jordan, who tragically wound up being the freshman conference player of the year. The running back passed away from random gunfire. That was awful. He was a beast. He's 18, his whole life in front of him. Transfer-wise, they got a kid, Travion Thomas, from Independence Community College of, our boy Jason Smith, from Last Chance U. Remember the moron from South Central, the white guy? Yeah, so that's Independence.
I'm gonna sit on my deck and smoke my stick and drink my yak. Yeah, I remember him.
Knew nothing about football, but the kid's 6 feet 230. Then they got a transfer from Oklahoma at running back, TJ Pledger, and a transfer from LSU at running back, Chris Curry. Try not to get too name involved because these kids transferred for a reason. But with that kind of protection, 81% on offense, 91% on defense, including Devin Lloyd, who in my opinion is a top 3 linebacker in the country. I think Utah is going to win the South, and I think they're going to make some serious damage and noise. And, Brewer, ironically, is very similar to Alex Smith. Now, Smith is extremely intelligent and was at Utah for 4 years. But, this is a team that could, mark my words, I wouldn't be shocked if they ran the table and snuck in. Just the stars align for Utah every 4 years, and this seems like the 4th year.
All right, you got anyone else?
Not really. I think I had, I can't remember who Rob said, but, the underrated thing is I'm acidic, so it's easier for me to talk about overrated, underrated. It's so strange with the top 5. I'm tempted on Georgia, not to be underrated, rather overrated. But, there are 5 programs, in my opinion. I realize I just contradicted myself, Georgia included, that are head and shoulders better than everyone else. And after that, I didn't. Oh, sorry, I do have one. Texas. I think Texas is underrated. Sarkisian's not a great coach, but SC has received 4 or 5 transfers from Texas. And we're finesse football in California. We're fast and elusive, blah, blah, blah. These guys are monsters, dude. In practice, you can tell which guys came from Texas. Sarkisian, for all his faults, is not stupid. He's got a great pedigree, and he's going to make the most of that talent, and they're loaded. And the reason why I say Texas will be there offensively, quarterback's up in the air, but my Heisman choice is their running back, Bijan Robinson. I think he's the most elusive player since Reggie Bush. The defense is loaded. Transfers.
Raj,
I know it's Texas. They do it every year, but I went with Miami, so to stay consistent, I went with Texas.
Let me ask you this, though. You went to school at Cincinnati for 3 years. Can they assemble the 8th best football team in the country?
No, but by the time we figure it out with their quarterback, Desmond Ridder, and their defense, and their coaching with Luke Fickell, it's going to be too late. They'll probably be number 8 at that point with their schedule. No, they'll get rolled.
They're number 8 right now. I think that's a good program, but there's no way they're number 8 in the country.
I've said this before. At my high school, Tony Gonzalez was there, including 5 other D1 guys, which is rare. We went 13-0 my senior year. We went 0-10 the next year. I think Cincinnati's got that sort of future in front of them. And Fickell's going to bounce after this year. But watch out for Texas. Like I said about the trenches, NFL players across both lines, linebackers, just senior laden. And dude, those guys are beasts, dude. They're the closest thing to the SEC that I've seen in terms of speed and size out of any program. And coaching has held them back. But, Oklahoma's defense has basically been a sieve for years. And I think Texas's defense is going to be one of the best in the country. And even Sark, I think, can't mess it up. They're at least better than 19. I will put money on that.
So I'm going to go with I had this laid out before you even went on your rant.
I ran.
But the Big 12 is a 3-game season this year. I think Iowa State walks into Texas undefeated. Then they play back-to-back Texas Tech, which they should win, and Oklahoma. So what are we going to do? I mean, one of those teams is going to be underrated. One of them is going to be overrated. And unless Oklahoma sweeps it, they're underrated. So I really think at one point Oklahoma is going to get it figured out, and I think it's this year. But Iowa State is a puzzle to me. I think they'll go start 8-9 or 0 and move up to like a top 5 team. But I don't think they're underrated. I just think somebody's going to look. Either Texas or Iowa State's going to finish 11-1 in that conference. Underrated. The number 1 team in the country is underrated in Alabama. And that's the stupidest thing I've ever said, but it's the truth.
I don't know.
They should be like Ric Flair. They should get the title belt till someone beats them. I like underrated. And a lot of it goes with just Herm Edwards. I really like Arizona State. They seem to play tough. I can't tell you a lot about them other than they're disciplined. And it seems like a lot of under-recruited kids that are there to play with Herm Edwards, and they play tough.
Big dark cloud over that program, but they return a ton, including, I think, almost every starter on defense. But I'm waiting for the NCAA to hammer it. They haven't yet. They should. They did some dirty, dirty stuff, but most things are dirty in Tempe.
How bad, if any, is it if Alabama wins again? If they just unload their entire roster to the NFL and they win again, I mean, what is that? Is that good, bad, indifferent? What does it look like for college football?
It's turning indifferent at this point. I mean, it's nudging towards indifference. Unfortunately,
they haven't. Have they won consecutive though? At all during this run?
Yeah, they won at least 2 in a row, if not 3.
They've actually won 3 of 4 at one point.
Yeah,
in a row.
3 of 4.
Oh, 3 of 4. And Bryce Young's no joke, man. That guy is probably, I would say he's better than Tua. And again, it's just insert 5-star here. When you think about them, I feel like Debbie Downer. Like, it is what it is. They do what they do. You're not surprised either way. They lose a game and don't win the conference, they're still going to make it. If they lose 2 games, then the world is ending. And I think that happened once in the last 10 years.
Maybe. I don't even remember it.
Y2K?
The other team, it's interesting, and I just want to run around. I've got 2 more, but I want to stop at Indiana. What does Tom Allen have to do to get respected as one of the better coaches in America? That he consistently puts up top 15 teams at a program that was consistently a top 60 or 7 power ranked team over the last 20 years. Is Indiana moving into you just write them in the top 15 and that's where they're going to be at the beginning of the year? Robbie, do you?
So I'm looking up Tom Allen as we speak. So as people that watch the show know, I went to Indiana for a little while. I've been to many football games, and to talk about a lack of enthusiasm for Indiana football amongst students and alumni would be a gross misunderstatement. Like, they just don't care.
Yes.
We joked it was a Ohio State picture day whenever Ohio State would play Indiana, because it'd all be Ohio State fans. So looking up at this guy, yeah, no, I'm not kidding.
How come I've never heard that? That's hilarious.
We would tailgate, but we would not go. No one would go to the games.
The stadium sucks too. It looks just dismal.
Yeah, I mean it's a glorified. I mean, you can go to high schools in Texas and maybe even some in Tennessee that have a nicer stadium. They are the equivalent. I wouldn't say they're equivalent of Vanderbilt, but somewhere close. They just collect the Big Ten money, and they'll fund some athletics. But
Mississippi State would probably be the equivalent in the SEC.
That's a good comparison. And so, like, I don't know where he goes. I don't know if he wants to stay there. I mean, essentially, hey, if you make Indiana football relevant, you're talking about like a Bill Snyder, a Pat Fitzgerald. Like, are you just happy with job security and those paychecks coming in, or do you want more? I don't know how aggressive. I know Tennessee was at least in conversations with, at least was rumors that they wanted Allen. And so I don't know where that came to. But if you're not going to leave Indiana for a place like Tennessee, I don't know how close it got. He may just be happy there and just collecting those checks. And hey, you go 6-7, 7-5, whatever it be, you're not going to get fired because Indiana football is so bad. Same with like Purdue or I mean, look at Kurt Ferentz. He's been in Iowa probably 20-something years, and just, hey, who can beat that life? You're rich. You live in Iowa. Well, I mean, besides living in Iowa, but yeah, you're rich. You coach football, and you collect. That's kind of the vibe I get from Allen. Is just like, hey, I'm happy.
So, Raj?
I agree. I'll make it quick for once. On top of the returning starters, they're getting transfers, including Stephen Carr, a 5-star running back from USC who's electric but never could stay healthy and not the right offense. That is the right offense. Stevie Scott left out of graduation. They have Freifogel coming back at receiver. Michael Penix is amazing. They've got a transfer from Florida State, DJ Matthews at receiver, and they got a transfer from Michigan who started. When in the world, aside from basketball, have we ever said that Indiana got a football transfer from a Michigan starter, let alone a Hall? Insane, dude. And then they got a couple dudes across the line from Ole Miss and Auburn. They recruited into Georgia. What is happening? They're 24th in the country in terms of returning production. Now, a lot of that is offense. Defense last year, they were 43rd. That's where they're going to have to prove their mettle. Could Robbie just fall? But, yeah, I'm shocked. And Allen is dope. He's like the Mark Few of college football. He could be the one guy that is content there. Bloomington's a fun town. But what is Robbie doing? Oh, there he is. He's in his basement fridge making a drink.
Yeah, there he is. I want y'all to hear the schedule, though, for Indiana.
Little Maker's Mark sponsorship going on.
Brought to you by Maker's Mark. Everybody, this podcast is brought to you by Maker's Mark.
We're going to get sued for sure.
I want to hear the schedule. I want you all to listen to the schedule. This is the most wacky schedule I've looked at all week for a top 25 team. They open with Iowa. Good football team, probably should win. So, but definitely a challenge.
Territorials.
Then they play Idaho, which they should walk all over Idaho.
A lot of eyes there.
Yep. Come back and play Cincinnati in Bloomington.
That's a big game.
Big game.
Big game.
Go.
Hey, that'll probably be the biggest legitimate game in Bloomington history.
Again,
Probably.
Aside from the Michigan transfer, when's the last time Indiana and Cincinnati was a huge game in a sport other than basketball?
This is the status of Indiana. The next week, they go to Western Kentucky to play.
Undefeated.
That's why you make schedules 10 years in advance.
Then at Penn State. So they've played Iowa, Cincinnati, Penn State, 3 of the first 5 games of the year. Michigan State, which is probably the worst team in the Big 10 this year. Ohio State in Bloomington. They go to Maryland and come back and play Michigan. It is truly an every other week gauntlet where they play Iowa, Cincinnati, Penn State, Ohio State, Michigan every other week.
Hey, my underrated IU. Hey, they could be in the top 5 midweek in the season.
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Oh, yeah. Agreed. They should be undefeated. I'd be surprised. And that game with Iowa, that's some serious Midwest territorial, wow. That game could change the fate, at least immediate fate of both programs when it comes to recruiting.
So the other place I'm going to go, and this is just, it seems a team always pops from that 10 through 15 range. And this year it seems a little 11, Oregon, Wisconsin, Florida, Miami, SC. And the one team that kind of pops as a little better than everybody else there to me, and I'll agree with you, is Oregon. I think Oregon is a team, if they could get on a run, Oregon is a team out west that could end up undefeated and really put the pressure on the committee to take a pack. And Rob, you're a Pac-12 guy. You've got to go undefeated in the Pac-12 to get a chance to go. You're going to get stepped over by a one-loss Big Ten team or a one-loss SEC team. Don't you agree?
Agreed. And to me, it's Utah. I hate to say it, but it's Utah.
All right, so that is mine, and I'm going with Oregon, Alabama, and Iowa State. I know. How can you be underrated at number 1? I just legitimately think they are. So, all right.
Actually impossible.
Actually impossible. Robbie, give us the last word on over, underrated, overrated. Did anybody change your mind, or did you get to thinking about anything?
I think Raj gave me a little hesitancy about A&M. They're replacing their quarterback. They're replacing some NFL players. Them sitting there at 6, knowing you have to go through. I don't know their East matchups off the top of my head. They play is South Carolina their permanent
I
one?
am pulling this up as we speak, and I do believe South Carolina.
And then who's their alternate one this year?
Let's just go through their schedule real fast. And Kellen Mond was one of my favorite players in last year's.
Yeah.
I love Kellen.
I think he was about the 4th or 5th best quarterback draft in the NFL. I really liked him also.
They open up with Kent State, play at Colorado, New Mexico State before opening up the SEC play with Arkansas, Mississippi State. Then on the 9th of October, they travel to Alabama. Is that game in Alabama or Texas A&M? No, it's at A&M.
Still a loss.
Yeah. Then they play Missouri.
When?
And South Carolina back to back.
Oh, so they got an easy draw from the East.
Then
so maybe they are properly rated.
right. All right, guys. One other subject we want to get to before we get off of college football, because we are in football season. We just went through overrated, underrated.
Okay.
We'll get through it pretty fast, but really, I think there's 3 conference championship games now, 4 conference championship games.
No, all 5 of them play it.
Is Pac-12 play? Yes, Pac-12. Okay, which one? The Big 12 is the one with the crazy system where one plays 2. There's no divisions. Okay, I'm with you now. Let's walk through. Do you want to go one at a time or all 5 at one time? Let's do one at a time. So we'll go from East Coast to let's go from West Coast to East Coast, because that builds the drama a little better. So let's start with the Pac-12, and let's make a championship game prediction. And Robbie, we'll let Raj go first since he's the Pac-12 guy. Maybe we can steal an answer.
Hey, I yap enough. I said it before. I think it'll be I'm not sold on Washington, Utah versus Oregon. I wish it would be SC, but the circus donkey will prevent a critical win. So Utah, Oregon.
Robbie?
I hate to agree, but that's what I had written down too. I think the best coach in the South wins. Whittingham wins in the South. Utah is better. He's just better than Clay Helton. And then the best program in the North wins. Oregon, even though Washington's building, Oregon still got that it factor in the North. So I think it's Oregon versus Utah. And I do think Utah ends up winning the whole conference.
I think Oregon's a step above everybody else in that conference right now. I said it on our other show. Robbie, I agree. If I was picking the best coach, it would be Whittingham. But if I was picking the best motivator, I'm going to go with Oregon, Arizona State, and just hope Herm Edwards.
You play to win the game.
Yeah,
he should be fired by that time.
I've got Oregon winning the conference, though.
Go. Fair.
All right. Big 12. Where one plays two, no matter the seeding. We'll change it up a little bit, and I'll go first on this one. Give me my national champion predicted Oklahoma Sooners, who I picked to win the national championship. By the way, named my fantasy football team after the Sooners. Give me Oklahoma, and it's almost possible to do it. But I think Oklahoma will play Iowa State twice and beat Iowa State twice. Robbie.
So I'm looking up this schedule real quick, and
I did look it up.
I agree with you. So I agree with you. The two teams. I actually think Matt Campbell breaks through and wins the Big 12 championship. That would be awesome. Oklahoma's got at Baylor, home against Iowa State, then at Oklahoma State, a rivalry game. And then I think Oklahoma beats Iowa State at home. Then you flip it, play a team twice, and I think Matt Campbell comes back and beats Riley in Oklahoma in the Big 12 championship game. I think Iowa State breaks through this year.
I think the Big 12 is a good story this year.
And then Matt Campbell is going to be flooded with NFL offers.
And I think he would take one of the NFL jobs. I think that's what he's waiting on. That would be a great story. I just love the talent at Oklahoma, and it's not lessened by the fact that during their media days, Eric Gray was selected as the newcomer of the year, and I really think Eric Gray brings a dimension to that football team. But we'll see. Roger.
Remember that I talked about real quick Iowa State, and I love returning starters. Iowa State was fourth behind Miami, who was third. 88% of the overall roster return, including 94% of the offense. But more importantly, percentages aside, not to be that nerd, Brock Purdy and Bryce Hall return, and a lot of the offensive line return. Defensively, nothing to write home about, but 81% of that defense returns. I believe, I can't remember their transfers. They have one tough game. And the only thing I don't like about facing OU is it's in November, the 20th. That's pretty late. So I wish that game was earlier. If it was, hands down, I'd pick Iowa State. And even though I love Texas, Texas and OU are the big dogs. Texas goes to Ames, and that game is going to light Ames on fire. And I don't think Texas, it's the game of the year in Ames most times, despite the Iowa game. I agree. I think it's OU, Iowa State. I wouldn't be surprised if Iowa State won. But I'll go with OU, even though I don't like Rattler.
All right, Big Ten. I think Robbie, you get first up on the Big Ten.
Oh, the Big Ten. I mean, this is just same old, same old. It's OSU and Wisconsin, and it's going to be that. Like, the Big Ten, they tried the Leaders and Legends, which was a disaster, and they tried Geographic. It's a disaster. Like, it's OSU and Wisconsin again and again and again. And, Ohio State's going to win it again. Like, yeah, nothing else to say.
Petition to move Indiana to the Big Ten West. I mean, Iowa could be there. I don't know. It doesn't matter. It's OSU and to a lesser extent Iowa. But what's the point?
So, do y'all think? This is a quick side note. I don't want to take too much time, but is Scott Frost getting the Jeremy Pruitt treatment from Nebraska?
Next question before we get out of the Big Ten, I was going to ask you, Roger, I'm
Probably.
getting feedback again on you. Who wins more games this year, Tennessee or Nebraska?
Nebraska's got an easier conference. Isn't Frost now in hot water for recruiting allegations, which is amazing because the talent level there is pretty atrocious. I haven't looked at schedules. The Big Ten is easier than the SEC, but Tennessee has one of the easiest non-conference schedules in history. So I guess I'll go with Tennessee.
Robbie.
Raji. I like Raji.
Well, I've got Tennessee going 5-7, so I'm looking up Nebraska's schedule right now. And let's see what we got here. Well, hey, Vegas has Tennessee at 6.5. That's insanity.
Yeah, 4 easy wins.
I think Tennessee has a legit chance to go 7-5, but 6-6 is where I'm at.
You are crazy. No, Nebraska wins more.
I think Nebraska goes 5-7.
Actually, no. I think maybe Tennessee wins. I go Tennessee wins more.
I think only you guys give a shit. Sorry. Did I go ahead? Just got reprimanded.
All right. I will pick Ohio State. I don't think it matters. Whoever wins that game, it's at Wisconsin. They're probably the favorite, but I'll play devil advocate and go Iowa. ACC, which is I'm torn in the ACC, and I'll tell you why. Everybody in the world knows that Clemson is the favorite in the one conference, one side, but there are so many football teams that looks exactly the same in the what's it called? It's the Coastal Division and then the Atlantic Division. There are so many football teams that look exactly the same to me that I can't make a prediction. I just keep Clemson versus 8-4 football team. I guess I'll go Miami, but I'm just throwing it out there. I don't really. I think it's worse than the Big Ten West. I mean, at least Wisconsin and Iowa are good football teams, but I guess Miami, Clemson.
Miami is at North Carolina, for the record, Rob. Sorry, go ahead. But
I mean, Miami and North Carolina, are they not the same flawed football team?
So for the ACC, so it is very condition and precedent. So if Clemson loses to Georgia in week 1, I think their shots to the playoff are gone. And so then I think a lot of those players start looking at the NFL. Thus, I think UNC at home versus Clemson beats them again. If Clemson wins against Georgia, then I think Clemson runs the table against a weak ACC and then wins the playoff. Or wins the ACC and then gets a chance in the playoff. So it is very much on this Georgia-Clemson game in Charlotte. I'm going to predict that Georgia does win this game and thus elevates a Alabama. Oh yeah, big shocker, right? SEC guy. Elevates Alabama, Georgia 1 and 2 all year long, and then the showdown in the SEC championship. They both made the playoffs. But anyways, Clemson gets eliminated at that point because Clemson can't get in if they lost to Georgia, who doesn't win that SEC championship. So I think this is the year that Clemson goes down in the ACC, and I think UNC wins this, and Mac Brown his return to greatness.
Is there any way on earth North Carolina State could win that division? Because I think they're the second best team maybe in that division.
No.
I don't think so.
No.
Not even
that's for me. One thing about Miami is they have never displayed an ability to win on the road, and that's coaching. And I believe what's homeboy's name? I'm blanking. The Miami head coach who came from Oregon.
Manny Diaz.
Yeah.
Manny Diaz. Totally unproven. Didn't do anything at Oregon. Right? Was he at Oregon? Am I being fairly race-centric?
Temple, I think.
Okay.
The Oregon coach went to Florida State.
Okay. I'm a minority, and I think I'm mixing up two Latino head coaches, which is, as a minority who even looks Latino, I'm ashamed. All I can say is I've lived in Tennessee for too long. They haven't displayed an ability to win on the road. They'll probably lose to UNC, but I think UNC is overrated. Sam Howell is overrated, and I think we're about to find out when you lose 2,385 yards in rushing between Williams and Carter. It's people are going to key on Howell, and he hasn't made the best decisions. I don't think they're that good. Mac Brown's all right, but it's not 2004.
You have to remember last year Clemson or UNC went for 2 to beat Clemson, didn't get it. Mac Brown went for it. They were close last year. And then a lot of talents left Clemson.
But going
a lot of talents
for
returned,
2, they're Alabama light. They still have 5 stars ready to go. I disagree in the Clemson Georgia perspective in that it's the first game of the year. And then when you get down to the rationalizations, just like Bama a few years ago, hey, they lost week 1, and losing to Georgia is not ever bad, and losing to Clemson is not ever bad. I think both teams are fine. Now, Georgia's going to have a better route if they somehow make the championship game, but I think DJ is amazing, and I think he's going to basically take control of the game. While Daniels depends on offensive line. The fact that he's the best quarterback in the SEC, actually Bryce Young should be, both Southern California guys who, oddly enough, went to Modern Day together. I think Daniels is. I don't think Daniels makes it out alive this year, and I'll take Clemson all day in that game. But I don't think either is eliminated.
Raj, let me walk me through your scenario. If Clemson loses to Georgia week 1, how do they get in the playoff?
I mean, of course, it's going to take other dominoes to fall. Again, in the ACC, have we done the ACC yet? I forgot.
Yeah, we did. That's what we just talking about.
Oh, apologies. That's right. Sorry.
Give that man a shot. His memory's going.
Hey, dude, I just had surgery, man. Give me a break. No excuses. There are good enough teams in the ACC rankings wise for them. I believe they play Notre Dame, UNC, Miami. Those are all top 15, top 10 teams. There's enough there.
Wait,
still Clemson. There's still a name.
Right. But you assume let's assume we play this game. The SEC winners in, the Big Ten winners in, if
The Big 12
SEC
winners in.
Nah. Well, yeah. Oklahoma will be in yet too. So if Georgia beats Clemson and Alabama beats Georgia, you can't put Clemson in.
No, I agree. If Georgia, well, you're right. In the sense that Georgia will pull the Alabama, they wouldn't be in the conference championship game, but they probably back in.
Yeah.
No, that's a good point. I didn't think about that. I'm looking at Clemson's schedule. I don't think it's going to matter. The point is moot because Clemson's going to beat Georgia, and I'll put money on it.
They very, but that's the most important Clemson game of the season. If they lose that, I think they're done.
Sure.
I will go on the other side of that one. I think Georgia beats Clemson handily. We'll see, though.
Handily?
That's bold.
I think it's a double-digit 10-point win.
Well,
put your money where your mouth is, bro. In front of our national audience.
Hey,
bet on the show. I can get better.
If it's 10 points, if it's not close, then yeah, Clemson's done.
I really think Georgia's loaded.
Yeah.
I really think Georgia may be the second best team in the country, but we'll find out shortly. Well, let's move on because we're running out of time. We're going to get to the Braves and the NFL. We're going to struggle right now already. SEC.
Alabama, Georgia.
Alabama, Georgia with me.
Wait, aren't they in this? Are they in different divisions?
East, West.
Oh,
yes.
yeah. Sorry.
And I'm picking Georgia to win the SEC.
The SEC is so geographically accurate that I apologize. Yeah, Alabama, Georgia. Actually, maybe Tennessee could sneak. Alabama, Georgia.
Don't play with their emotions.
Yeah, but I'll take Alabama as a champion. I'm not.
All right.
Reality plays with your emotions, not me.
Final four. Do we have them in our heads quick enough to go through it real fast? I'll give you my final four. Playoff teams. Ohio State, Georgia, Alabama, and Oklahoma.
I have Ohio State, Alabama, Georgia, and I'm going to go Iowa State.
Be a good story. Raj?
Let me confer with my notes. I have Alabama, and the Crimson Tide.
All right.
Well,
that's it.
Well, and we don't have to talk about it today, but it looks like this 12-team playoff is going to get squashed now with this new alliance.
I mean, what a coincidence.
Yeah.
Yeah, we'll move the alliance to next week because that deserves a serious vetting as a talking. So,
hey, Georgia has a really nice SEC schedule. Looking at it, at Vandy,
because they're in the East,
at Auburn,
it's horrible.
Yeah, it's pretty bad. There's no way. You're right. There's no way they're losing aside from the Clemson, the possibility of losing versus Clemson.
If they beat Clemson, they're in the playoff.
Yeah,
So,
you're right. Absolutely right. That schedule's pathetic.
Let's jump to MLB for just a minute, and then we'll finish on the NFL, probably a muted version, because I knew when we got on college football, we'd go longer than we intended to. So
No
the
way.
Braves, since the All-Star break, are ridiculously good. At the All-Star break, I, on this show, said they should be a seller. They're 4.5 games out. Now, I mean, at the trade deadline, they're 4.5 games out. They should trade, pick up some pieces. Today we sit here, the Braves are 4.5 games up in the East. They are 9-1 over their last 10 games. Outside the Dodgers and the Giants, I think they're playing the best baseball in the National League. The Braves have done it with, I think, some great moves. Just to recap the moves, which I know you guys know. And they did not give up a lot. They pick up Soler from Kansas City, who's hitting at an amazing almost 300 clip in Atlanta. Early on, before the trade deadline, they go out and get Jock Peterson, a great utility guy. They bring Adam Duvall back. And basically, they've created a lefty-righty matchup in every scenario in the outfield. They are still waiting on probably the best player they traded for, which is Eddie Rosario, who is supposed to be off the DL shortly. This is a team that lost their best pitcher, their best hitter, and arguably the best player in baseball, and Ronald Acuna. Are they for real, or are they just beating up a bunch of bad teams in the East? Rod, you're a baseball guy. We'll start with you.
Since the All-Star break, first of all, Alex Anthopoulos is a top 2-3 GM in the league, maybe even the best. He gave up nothing and got
one
nothing.
Really major league player in Bryce Wilson, and that was for the trade to get Richard Rodriguez, who's been lights out in the backside of that pen.
Rodriguez was arguably the number one target the last 2 years, but Pittsburgh was stupid enough not to give him up when they should have. He still was good, and they got Rodriguez. I don't like Will Smith. I don't necessarily love the starting rotation. I've always liked Charlie Morton, but he's 40, savvy. Max Fried is dope. The rest, are they better than the Braves last year? I don't think so, but they went for it, and I respect that, dude. 98% of the teams would have given up. I thought they'd give up. I wish the Dodgers, if in the same situation, would have given up. But they got, Duvall, like we said, Rosario, who's not even back. And the other guys have stepped up. They are top 3, 4, 5 in home runs. Not that matters, but that much. But, Austin Riley's a legit MVP candidate. Who would ever say that? An OPS of 903, 29. I wouldn't go that big on Soler.
No,
Soler is Soler. He's hot right now, but he's
a 40 home run.
He's a 205 hitter on the season. He's still Jorge Soler. Yes, he's been hot with Atlanta, but he's a plus defender, and that's what matters. Jock is an amazing bench player. He'll come in and he pinch hits so many times for home runs, and the Braves haven't had that in years. A guy that can come off the bench and save them. The Dodgers had Jock and Kike last year, and both came up big in the playoffs, might I add. They have home runs in Duvall, but low OPS, bad average. But guys like Dansby Swanson, stepped it up. Guys got like 25 home runs. And he's not just a pretty face anymore, I guess. Freeman. Albies is crushing it, a kid that I thought was overrated for years. Again, I agree entirely that, Eddie Rosario hasn't even come back yet. And although he's played I don't know how many games this year, I guess 78, the average is down, home runs at 7. But dude, he's been there before, and he's a player. Long story short, the division is weak, real weak. But all you have to do is make the playoffs, and anything can happen. And when you lose a player like Acuna, sometimes a team will mobilize and come together. Like, we got nothing to lose. We lost a top. I mean, his name's not Mike Trout, last time I heard. So he's not the best player in the league. I don't think it's arguable. But I would put him top 3 with Tatis Jr., and himself, and then Mookie at 4th. But you never know. I mean, how many times the Giants, countless others, the Royals, the best team during the regular season doesn't generally win it all in Major League Baseball. Last year was an exception. But, I think they're dangerous. Easy division, and they could easily, if the Dodgers are a wild card team and play a 1-game playoff, yikes. If I believe they would face the Giants then, and the Braves would get the Brewers, another great team. Who's to say? It's who's hot at the right moment. And the Braves don't know how good they are. They don't care. They lost their best player, and again, a top 3 player in the league. So they're infallible, and they're dangerous.
And they're playing with abandon. My point about Soler, though, is he does hit 250 as a great year, or he's 205 now. He's legitimate protection to the bottom of that 5th, 6th, 7th lineup with 40 home run pop. So, Robbie, what's your thoughts?
So, New England Patriots did this for decades. They won the worst division in football and got home field and parlayed it into Super Bowls. the Braves, and this is not the most telling stat ever, but they're plus 88 in run differential. The closest one of them in their division is minus 24.
That's a horrible division.
That's the closest. That's the second best team. And
But
so
you said their division.
Right. So you win the division, you make the playoffs, and then it gets to be a tournament of attribution and matchups. All that. You want to make the tournament, and then you just see what happens. No, I mean like the Dodgers. Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. They've won a series against one winning team since the break, and that's Cincinnati.
Oh, yeah.
Now
Absolutely.
they won 2 out of 3, but they haven't played that many.
Playoffs.
But you have to beat the teams you're supposed to beat, and they're doing that.
Right.
Most importantly, those teams are in their division, and they're sweeping them on the road. And that's the other thing. If you win on the road, that's a massive telling stat, and the Braves are awesome on the road.
Yeah, they're 1 game over 500 at home. They're 10 games over 500 on the road. So they are doing well on the road. Like, but yeah, so like this, like obviously it's not as good as the San Francisco and the Dodgers and even Milwaukee as a run differential. But hey, if you get in there, you can start to play.
And they finished, by the way, with, I guess, out of the last 13 games, only San Diego's above 500. 4 with Arizona at Arizona, which is like a pool party. Hey-o. At San Diego, which is very winnable. Philly at home, and they close with the Mets at home. They could easily run that table, let alone,
Yeah.
end up 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10.
In the playoffs. And
They
then,
won 15 road games in a row. I mean, that should tell you.
That's crazy. Although,
but again, that division, and there's the Nationals sold off their team. The Mets are a huge disappointment, and the Phillies are a huge disappointment. So I look at it this way with the Braves, and I'm a lifelong Braves fan. I enjoyed watching the last couple of months or the last month. I don't know who Jorge Soler is, but I've saw players that I didn't really know perform. If the Braves, I'm kind of with Robbie. If the Braves get in a playoff, roll the dice. You never know. I do think somebody's going to get eliminated in that wild card. That's a very good baseball team.
oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at, the Dodgers. The Padres aren't even going to make the playoffs, and they're a really good team. And you look at the AL, and
they could be the second wild card.
No, the Padres, they're Cincinnati's up on them by substantially amounts.
No. Are they?
Yeah,
Still like 30 games left. It's not substantial.
Well, the better news is I'm going to win my fantasy league this year. Thank you very much. I'm going to win my baseball league, and I'm very proud of that fact.
That's ridiculous.
I know, me winning something, it's just insane.
Hey, they're 1 game up on the Cincinnati's 1 game up. That is substantial. I mean, right now, yeah, I agree. With 30 games left, it is substantial.
Also,
it looks substantial from the view I was looking at.
More importantly, it feels substantial.
I don't even know how many.
She said.
I don't know how many playoff teams there are in the baseball.
So if the Braves could run the Brewers down and get to that second seed, it might be of value. And they're quite a bit away.
I will go to a Braves playoff game, though.
It's a lot of fun.
Except Game 5 against St. Louis when they got 13 runs in the first inning, right? That game had to suck. You were at that game, right, Rob?
No. I wasn't there, I don't think.
All right.
Milwaukee is deadly, for the record. Deadly.
Go around really, really fast. How far does the Braves make it in the series? I say they win a series and lose in the NLCS. Robbie?
I think they lose in the second round. Yeah, whatever that is.
All right. Raj?
It's tough. I don't think they beat Milwaukee, who's a deadly team. If they draw someone else, it would probably be San Francisco or LA, and they're both better than them. However, anything can happen in baseball, especially baseball and hockey. You flip a coin, so who knows?
All right. Well, I'm excited about the Braves, and we kind of got that in a 15-minute segment. We meant to talk about it a little more, but that sums it up because we want to get to the NFL, and we want to get to the surprise topic of the night. Our fantasy draft is this weekend. Robbie, would you tell us the top 10 players?
I know who not to draft.
I would rather go behind me, jump off the balcony, and run to the ocean and drown myself and tell you who my top 10 players are.
Oh, come on now. I thought you'd help a brother out. The world needs to know.
No, I'll give you a little hint. It's
again, so you know who not to draft, Randall. I haven't even looked. I swear to God, I've not looked.
I would draft Charlie Ward,
Michael Vick,
Tim Tebow, Michael Vick,
Des White.
Hey, wait, Raj has seen my list then, hasn't he?
Des White, Reggie White.
Let's see. Dan Marino's probably still up there. Peyton Manning, all of the above. No, I can't wait from this weekend. Y'all are ruining y'all are ruining my Florida trip. I'm having to come back tomorrow. I could be here for the next 2 weeks, but I'm coming back for you guys.
Oh, that explains the 1978 decor back there.
So, serious question. Let's throw some of our league mates under the bus. Here you go. Top 10 fantasy players. Robbie is number 13. I like that.
Brandon's stupid.
All right. Let's just go ahead and say it. John Bruner from Nebraska, the guy that really was the star of our fantasy football show, will be on with us next Tuesday. He's going to evaluate all 12 drafts. He's going to give us all feedback. Old school John is going to be talking trash about somebody's draft, and I'm not going to let him know whose draft he's looking at. Robbie, when he calls somebody's draft absolutely crap, who's he going to be talking about?
Well, it won't be me. I mean, my guess will be like, so.
Let's talk bad about our league mates.
I'd have to say throughout, and this is me thinking back quickly, but historically, I'd say Clay drafts horribly. Dave drafts horribly. And Geoff drafts horribly. Those three are the main ones. Stewart can go one way or the other.
Good point on Stewart. He's either the worst drafter or he's really good.
But he's never won. I mean, if you I'm sorry, Randall. I didn't mean to push a button because you've never won. So that's
you know what?
That's probably a sensitive subject.
And that dog died of old age.
Yeah.
Roof.
Yeah.
So, all right. I like your picks, though. Raj, throw somebody under the bus from the league.
Well, Blake sucks too, obviously.
I don't talk trash because I don't have to. All I know is when I felt like I had a great draft, I usually end up sucking. So I hope, and John's pretty rad, I hope he doesn't like my draft because I feel like we think similarly. I've never been able to say that word. But this year's very odd, especially after a shortened season last year. I'm glad we didn't, when morons have their draft, in early August. I drafted Travis Etienne in the third round. Good job.
Chat, somebody would have drafted him.
Oh, 100%. Somebody probably still will.
In the group chat.
But
that's where
I don't talk.
That's where about half those guys go to get their sports news. Is that group chat?
Oh,
or here.
I guarantee you someone will draft him.
Yeah. I'm going to go ahead and call it.
Hey, how are we setting up the confessional? What's that going to look like?
I have an iPhone
shit show
that already has a broken screen, but the camera works perfectly. And I have an iPad that's about 10 years old.
Well,
And we're going to take here. I'm going to show you.
Randall, we have equipment. I mean, I have a phone that's not broken.
I don't care if it's broken. It's going to get destroyed when it's over with. And
Did you say an iPad? I've heard of those.
The Halo. And you come in and you push a button and you will be live. And yeah, I've got nicer equipment, but
I had an Activision or ColecoVision.
I just want to take the junky equipment in case it gets trashed.
Hey, well, hell, by that time,
a Betamax
stock will probably be through the roof. I can probably afford,
Just get us a GoPro.
I have a GoPro, actually.
You do have a GoPro at the office. Will you be there before the draft?
Well, I'll be home.
Side note.
Yes.
Yeah.
I didn't know the dude, but we went to college together at UC San Diego. My year, the dude that invented GoPro, and I'm worth about $11, and he's worth about $11 billion. But he was a surfer. Our school is very close to the water. He basically was taping a waterproof camera, those little big yellow ones, and he invented GoPro. And literally the same year at UCSD.
We might already take the GoPro.
You can have all I have, dude. I've got no use for it.
We should take the GoPro too. Okay, we'll get back to the draft here in a minute. NFL is starting to roll along, and we're all excited. And I usually try to watch some games. Brendan just showing how smart I am. I'm sorry. Oh, by the way, if my prediction didn't go out, Stuart Brock, I'm looking at you, man. I'm so sick of your Alabama stuff. You're going to have the worst draft. Roll Tide that.
Oh, yeah. Stuart always has the worst draft.
I'm sick of you over Stuart.
Roll Tide. Roll Tide.
So, as we get closer, I've tried to watch some preseason games, and it's absolutely trash. The Atlanta Falcons, my favorite team, has not played the offensive starting lineup in 2 games out of 3. So they got one more game to play the starters. And I'm not talking about the Matt Ryan starters or the Calvin Ridley starters. We're not playing offensive linemen. Robbie, is this because people fear the 17th game and the toll that it's going to take on people? Because the Falcons are not only the only team doing this, several teams have done it. Why the sudden change? The rule always a series in the first game, a quarter in the second game, half of the third game, and then a lot of times starters would sit out the 4th game. Why the change?
So this is going to be a very complex answer. I'm not sure I'm even going to answer the question. I'm going to try. And this goes back to our friend Blake and I. We were at Buffalo Wild Wings one Saturday, and we were talking about I was watching. I was like, "Oh, college football is better," and he's like, "NFL is better." And I was like, "Well, what do you mean?" He's like, "NFL is just so superior of a product. Like you can't throw. Like I mean, just the windows are shorter. Everything's just more intense." I thought about that, and I was like, "Okay, maybe you're right." And then you got this preseason product. And so it's just like, it's like, I don't understand what they're doing. I understand people have to get work done. They have to get work. And like, I get all the money that's involved in it. But as far as being a product that can matter, no. I mean, I did some numbers. Well, if you can let me, I do want to discuss Urban Meyer and the Jags in a bit, but
okay, we'll get there.
You have the NFC East. Every single team in the NFC East. I'm sorry, NFC. Yeah, well, the NFC West. So you have the Seahawks, the Rams, the Niners, and whoever else is in there. They all have a point differentiate +2. They're all negative except for one. San Francisco has +2. That division is a good football division, and then the preseason doesn't matter. So it's just all bogus. I just don't get what we're doing here. And so, yeah, I think it's just a dress rehearsal, but I don't get what they get out of the games versus what they get from the practices. So I am a seller on NFL preseason. I didn't used to be that way, but this NFL I am.
So, Robbie, and either one, I'll go to you with the question, but building off of Robbie's point, Raj, it used to be that teams never practiced with teams. Now, when you have a preseason game with each other, the Falcons and the Dolphins spent 3 days together as a franchise. Are they learning about themselves in those practices, and then the games are a way to make a paycheck, get into your game? I mean, there are some game routine that you want to get into. Is that all that the preseason has become?
I mean, has it become that? It's the same. It's gone from 4 to 3 games. Because, there was a 17th game. It's odd because the Raiders faced Seattle in the first game of the year, and they had 65,000. I believe that's a sellout at that game, which back in the day in Oakland or LA, they'd have 650 people. The Raiders just played the Rams at SoFi. Yes, I'm talking about only new stadiums, but there was like 68,000 there or something like that. So the owners are making money hand over fist. Do they matter? No. In the third game, starters may play one series, they may not. Nowadays, everyone scrimmages live with another team, sometimes multiple teams. And that's far more telling than, these types of games. If you got a brand new stadium, then I think it's worthwhile. But in terms of evaluation, 4 was ridiculous. Everyone knew it. 3 is borderline. It's owners like, here you go, but they'd rather have a 17th game. They know who they want to cut and who they want to keep after, I think, week 1 or 2. And there are roster reductions for a reason. I think sometimes it comes down to whether or not you're paranoid or insecure about someone else snatching up a guy that you aren't sure of, that may be worthwhile, and then somebody will come in and snatch him up, meaning that the evaluation period, I mean, it's far too long. Even before the first preseason game, what is there, a month of practice? I think it's for Hard Knocks, and that's about it. Which, by the way, I tried to watch one episode, and this is probably the first year that I couldn't even watch one episode. Like, it was just boring to me. Am I the only one? Maybe because it was Dallas again, but Dallas.
You're the only one that can afford HBO.
Yeah, I'm the only one.
So, to your point, and then we'll get to the Jags. The Falcons have started A.J. McCarron in both of their preseason games. A.J. McCarron took a freak hit and is gone for the year.
Yeah, it's
in
terrible.
A normal circumstance, that would have been a snap Matt Ryan took. So, is it a smart move that they're making, Robbie, to protect his franchise? Kyle Pitts, a rookie, would have played every snap of preseason, has played maybe a handful of snaps. Or is it smart to protect your team?
So I'm one of those believers. It's what we do. Like we go to work, we drive to work, yes, you put yourself at risk every day for something. But because the outcome is bad does not mean the decision to put yourself in that situation was necessarily bad.
The same would occur.
Yeah, so I drive to work every day. On Thursday, if I get in a wreck and whatever happens, does not make my decision to drive to work a bad idea. So I just think it's a lot of just judgmental people thinking about these things and just saying, "Oh, I would have done this differently because I have this glass genie that I can tell you what's going to happen."
So, one other follow-up. Do you think Raj is deep sea diving now, or what is that noise?
Oh, he's probably just been like, "Oh, feel sorry for me. My back hurts again."
Oh, my back hurt. So,
I found some alleviation. Thank you very much.
So, what is what is different about the way the Jags are going at preseason?
Raj, you want to go first?
No, you've got the Jag shirt on. You're the one in crappy Florida, so I believe.
Yeah, so I'm in Jags country.
Aren't you in Tampa country? Wait, where's PCB? I don't even know.
I mean,
Is that the East Coast?
I mean, it's Tampa, Jacksonville.
It's freaking
Doesn't
Florida.
matter.
Yeah.
It's Florida. Blow it up.
So, did y'all watch any part of the game? I guess 2 nights ago, maybe.
I watched a quarter of it.
Yeah. So, Urban is going like. I think Urban Meyer's a great coach, and he's a program builder. But by all accounts, that guy hates to lose worse than anybody. And you go into that grinder of the NFL and you're going to lose and you're going to lose, you're going to lose. I don't think he's going to make it a year and a half. I don't. I think he's done. I think he's going to say, this was not for me. I'll do my the offense looks stagnant. It doesn't flow. It's a terrible team. It's just that's not what Urban does. Urban takes good situations and makes them better. He doesn't take bad situations and does what he does.
Hindsight's 2020. I'm not sure if he's catching flack for the number 25 overall pick getting hurt with the Liz Frank, which sometimes you can never recover from. But again, hindsight's 2020. That's an awful injury, and I wish the best for the kid. It happened in week 1 or 2, whatever. But yeah, I mean, I thought Urban Meyer wasn't going to make it regardless. The Cons aren't the most savvy owners per se, and Urban's always got an out, dude. He just has to fake a heart attack, and he's generally good. However, it is Jacksonville. So what really are the standards for success? 3-4 wins?
And I'll say this, like, I think Urban is at minimum the top 5 greatest college football coaches of all time. Maybe top 3, maybe top 2.
I think he's the only one in this generation that competes with Saban.
Yeah. I think so. But getting to taking over that program at that level is just going to be so hard.
I would tend to agree. Guys, I'm having a little camera trouble. We're supposed to be having a guest join us for the predictions. Of course, I've had to text him again. So give it just a second here. One.
Is he shaking your camera?
No, I moved my camera.
Through the spirits?
We'll wrap it up.
We're 10 minutes from wrap up, Taylor. We're 10 minutes. 10 minutes.
10 minutes. See, right. I'm going to say 10 minutes from wrap up. Sorry. My fans aren't very happy with our tactics. Why you got to be so mean?
Our fan. Oh, okay. Well,
so
you think your wife is a fan of you? Hey, what's up, girl? She is not a fan of you. She knows better.
No.
How did you marry someone? Look at her.
You look great, by the way.
She's stunning.
Hey, Dancing with Stars.
Hit it.
What is it? Kidney Foundation?
Dare
donate.
to dance.
Still Dare to Dance. Still donate money.
Hey, they
talk about out kicking your coverage.
Yeah, she did very well.
I heard a.
I did all 3 R's. You guys have a bar sponsorship for Dare to Dance. I appreciate you.
Woo! What are we on speaker throughout the PCB 1978 house there? I like it. There's speakers built in ceiling.
So, last 10 minutes as we're over a half hour, and our guest is not able to use his phone, and I don't know where he's at.
Are you talking about criminal?
No, we're supposed to be joined by Brendan Chain.
Oh, do you have any smart friends?
Is our guest in 1988?
Shane, where you at, man? We're trying to bring you in for the predictions. I just text you the link. You've been here commenting the whole night, so I know you're out there. So, one more question about the NFL. One more, and we'll give him a second to get here. If you get the first overall pick, do you walk into the draft and already have the player you're taking in your mind?
Well,
Me, no. Robbie, all you.
as you know, we don't know the draft order till right before the draft, so it's hard to say we will ever know if we would trade it or not.
Theoretically, let's say you knew the draft order. Would you?
Well,
Would you have two guys that you know?
The trade process in this league is the most. It's easier to get something passed through Congress than it is to get a trade approved in our league.
So I just want to add, joining the party.
Oh,
The one and only,
What's up,
the
fellas?
slowest man on the history of the earth. Brandon
Yo.
has made it to the party. All right,
This
Shane,
guy's legit.
you've put your name. Fantasy camp? What the heck is that?
what is that?
Well, you know what it is.
I mean, I guess
Or
we
you
could
like
all.
me?
Put
I
that,
mean,
I guess we could all put that except for Randall.
Randall. Hey, yo.
Oh,
No,
He's only been in the
Mr.
league
Davis.
20 years, dude. Give him a break.
Mr. Davis. So, Jane, what's your take on? We're about to make our predictions for divisions, so you're here for that. But give us your take of the preseason.
I'm all for it. Like, I get, superstar injuries could happen. Just like Robbie said earlier, we all drive to work and take that risk. But I mean, this is a tryout. This is beyond fandom. This is a business, and you're building depth at this point. It's always next man up in the NFL. I mean, these guys are there for a reason. So you got to see what they can do in real time situations. I mean, we've all been to practice, and I mean, most of the time you half-ass. Sorry, I don't know if I can say that, but
Broad
do that.
practice.
It's-
Kicked off there.
Hey,
They're talking
Brandon.
about practice.
Hey, what's the
right.
local news?
But
What's
then
the
you go to
local news about
preseason.
Vrabel? How's Vrabel doing?
Haven't heard much. I know he's got to have 2 consecutive negative tests before he can return. Mild symptoms is what is reported. Nothing serious. He's been vaccinated. So, thoughts and prayers with him and his family should be good.
Yeah.
But I mean, back to preseason. I mean, trust me, I've been a season ticket holder for the Titans for, I don't know, since 2002. And
Does that include preseason?
If you have
it does.
ticket, you
I pay full
automatically-
price preseason.
Do you go to how many of those games have you been to?
Maybe 5.
In 19 years. All right. I agree.
Yeah, but
All right.
it's not a live game you want to go watch.
It's the
necessarily.
playoff games that count, Raj, and then the regular
Right.
season games. Brandon and
It's
I have been
obviously-
to many of Titans wins and losses together.
It's owner
We
pump
have.
dump. And what happens if preseason games like last year were played in front of empty stadiums? Obviously it's owners need money.
Yeah.
But, I mean, you got loyal season ticket holders that could give a crap. Now I'm sure you'll get $100 because you'll get suckers, but per ticket.
No,
gosh.
so this year is actually the first year, and I can't remember when, that I can actually sell preseason tickets. Most of the time, I'm just trying to give them away to, like, dad and his kid or something, to go to the game.
Alley cats.
Yeah, but I'm not saying that it's not needed, for internal evaluation. And that's what the fans, they don't care because it doesn't matter. If these games mattered, they would care. But it matters to the depth and the coaches and the organizations. Like, these are the people you're trying out to potentially be the next man up and your superstar. So you've got to have those games. Like,
But they charge
real-
regular season prices, right?
well, of course they do. You know, it's a
The
business.
Falcons have adjusted that technically. You only pay like 65, 75 in the preseason, but they just raised the regular season prices. They still get the same money.
Well, I mean,
Lower the
Titans
beer
just-
prices if that's the case.
Titans divvy it up between, you know, all 8 home games or whatever, maybe possibly 9 now that there's 17, but it gets spread across the course of the season.
That's
With-
going to be – so are we going 7 – I guess Lanier needs to be on here because Lanier's – I don't know how he's the commissioner, by the way. I should be the commissioner, but
You let that
No,
happen.
you're the worst. I'm too busy to be the commissioner. Obviously, that was evident.
yeah, I'm not
What?
too busy to be commissioner. I'm the best commissioner.
Robbie
but
should be.
I guess
All
we're
right.
going 17 regular season in the playoffs.
Phoebe would do a better job than Robbie. She's a smart
Get
dog.
back together
Very
here.
smart dog.
All right. Allison gave us 5 minutes from now.
All right.
All right,
we're
Jane,
good.
first off, who has the worst draft? We've got 2 Stewarts and a Robbie.
Worst draft. I'm gonna have to go with Geoff or Stewart. I'm gonna
Geoff
say
or Stewart? Okay. 3 Stewart. You suck, Stewart. Roll Tide. In the AFC East, we have 4 teams: Buffalo, Miami, New England, and the New York Jets. Give me 1 through 4 for that division. We will start in the bottom right-hand corner with Mr. Raj Mehta.
I think the one is certainly the Buffalo Bills, which again we haven't said that since Thurman Thomas and Jim Kelly. I haven't looked at the schedule. I'm going to go Miami too because that defense is loaded. Even though the Patriots have their way, but spending $160 million or whatever they did, especially on 2 tight ends that get hurt a lot, including Jonnu Smith, who you guys know, and Hunter Henry, isn't usually the way. Their time will come with homeboy Mac Jones. But I'll go New England 3rd, and the 4th team being, I'm blanking mentally.
Jets.
Well, the Jets. So Buffalo, Miami, New England, New York.
And to Mr. Fantasy Champion, Brandon Chain.
Wait, that's a bad name for him.
He
no,
won
it's a
last
great
year?
name because I'm gonna win. Of course, I'm
I-
winning this year. So I would definitely say Buffalo is the clear favorite. It's hard to argue that one. I'm gonna go New England. I'm gonna say Jets next, and then I can't remember the 4th one.
Dolphins 4.
Yeah, Dolphins 4th.
Ain't no love for Tua. I get it.
Robbie Davis.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah, I think Bill's the clear favorite there. I actually have the Dolphins 2nd. I think Tua is going to with the receiver from Alabama.
Jacoby Brissett, by the way, is the backup. That's a strong backup.
So I think Dolphins are going to come in 2nd. Then I have the Patriots, and then the Jets are going to be terrible because the Jets are always terrible.
Okay,
And
I'm going to start.
Jets and the Niners both blew their draft picks.
Bills. Dolphins both make the playoff. Bills win the division. Dolphins make it as a wild card. The Patriots 3rd, and then the Jets maybe 1-15. Braves lose 5-4 tonight. So,
By the way, I got robbed last year, but I got Josh Allen in like the 9th round last year, and again I lost to Lenny in the championship semifinals, but it was pathetic, and I should not have lost.
So Randall, hold on, wait. If you've got two teams from the AFC East, do you have the Titans in the playoffs?
Let's go to the AFC South. With the Titans, Colts, Texans, and Jags. I'll go first. On a previous episode, I picked the Tennessee Titans to win the division, the Colts to qualify as a wild card, and the Texans are the Texans and the Jags. Can they both finish in a tie for last? Horrible. So
I
yeah,
mean, you can set a fire and who gets out first. Like, you just don't know.
remember, there's an extra wild card team this year too. So, Robbie Davis, you're up for the South.
Yeah, so Julio Jones, AJ Brown, Derrick Henry, and Ryan Tannehill. You have
Bud Dupree.
You have weapons on weapons and weapons, and you have something that it is hard for a defense to counteract because you can't load the box, you can't double team, you can't do much against that because if you go receiver heavy, then Henry will bust you all day long. And the Titans this year are the most Chiefs-proof of a team in the AFC that they come by. So Titans win the division. Colts are dangerous. The Colts are really well coached. They've got talent.
Wentz is a loser, not a winner.
The Texans and the Jags. Well, okay, so the Jags are at least trying. They at least hired Urban Meyer, and they got Trevor Lawrence. The Texans are the what language can we use? They are the GD dumpster fire of the NFL. They're terrible. They don't have.
They're the Tennessee Balls of the NFL.
There's nothing positive to say about the Houston Texans at all.
O'Brien became a verb, just like Roy Munson. He got Munsoned. It's just terrible.
So I got Titans, Colts, Jags with probably 4 wins, and the Texans with maybe 1 win.
Mr. Fantasy runner-up, Brendan James.
To compliment the great words you said there, Robbie, about the Titans, don't forget about the offensive line. If they're healthy, which will also help project them into the winner's circle, which I believe is going to happen this year. They're definitely going to be the AFC champion of South. I just don't see any other competition. Colts are a distant second. I mean, they're still up in the air. Like I said, I mean, you can set a fire and see who comes out first between the Texans and the Jags. Like, it just really it's a coin flip because you got a rookie quarterback. Yeah, he'll throw for a lot of yards. That's just because they're going to be behind every game. They just lost ETN. They're in shambles. Their O-line's not good. Obviously, we've seen that. You know, they're missing a couple key players, but we'll see how that plays out. I got the Jags at the end. Somehow the Texans might pull it together and pull 3rd place there. So that's my take on it.
All right. Well, I'm learning my directions here when we have 4 of us.
You got it. You got it, Randall.
That's a Tennessee education right there, brother. Just kidding. This is easily, in my opinion, the easiest division in football. Carson Wentz is a born loser. Indianapolis has some players. The other 2 teams are worthless. My concern is that Derrick Henry has averaged 236 carries per year, roughly. 5 years in. Now, if anyone can handle that load, it's certainly Derrick Henry, who was chiseled out of stone years ago from whatever town in Alabama he's from. I can't remember where he's from. His backup is whom? Like Darrington Johnson? And Tannehill is not exactly a winner. However, they've got monsters at receiver. They've got a great defense. The secondary leaves something to be desired, but getting Bud Dupree was just amazing, in my opinion. I think that just happened. That wasn't the year before. they're gonna win that. But if they don't, it's because of massive amount of injuries. However, I don't see them coming out unscathed. I wish I did because I love their brand of football, and I actually enjoy. It's the one Tennessee team I enjoy rooting for, although I do like Tennessee basketball to an extent.
I was gonna say.
However,
In baseball,
I
now,
do
Tennessee.
like. No, I won't go that far. But the AFC is. It seems like it's Buffalo or Kansas City, kind of like Georgia versus Bama in the SEC. I'd be surprised if either anybody else made the AFC Championship game, and that includes Tennessee, just because they're volatile at certain positions.
All right, we're running short of time. Let's go to the AFC North, the toughest division. I'm going to give you only 2 teams make the playoffs. Only 2. The Baltimore Ravens win the division. The Cleveland Browns qualify for the playoff. The Pittsburgh Steelers does not make the playoffs, but finish 3rd. And Cincinnati's still probably a year away. Mr. James?
I don't disagree there. Actually, maybe slightly. I think the Browns might have a slide nod there on that one.
It's close.
Close. Raj?
Baker is my only reservation. The Browns would probably have the best offensive line in the league, one of the best defensive lines, a great linebacking core, a great secondary. I can't remember the non-conference, but I agree with Shane in the sense, to me, it comes down to Lamar versus Mayfield, and I don't think Mayfield is ever going to win anything of significance. Flip the script, you put Lamar or even Derek Carr of the Raiders on Cleveland, and that's your Super Bowl champion, in my opinion. Cleveland roster is loaded. Pittsburgh could be under 500.
Robbie's not here, so we'll have to catch Robbie.
I am here.
AFC North.
He back.
AFC North.
Me? I got Baltimore, I got Cleveland, and I've got Cincinnati. I think Pittsburgh takes a big step back this year. I think this don't
Unanimous.
Unanimous on that. Yeah.
Yep. AFC West. I'm going to go ahead and let Robbie Davis go first.
AFC West, KC, obviously.
No, KFC is going to be good too.
KFC, I thought Andy Reid and KC got it all conglomerated together. Okay, so I got Kansas City. I got the Chargers, who I think are going to do really well. Then I've got Oakland and
Las Vegas.
Las Vegas. Sorry. Who am I missing in the West? Denver. Yeah, Denver.
The
going
Donkeys.
last. Yeah.
All right, Raj.
It's going to be Kansas City and 2 or 3 8-8 teams, in my opinion. The Chargers have strong talent up front. Abear is way better than I ever thought he was. I'm eating crow on that one. Eckler, Mike Williams, Jared Cook's the tight end, the offensive line. Everyone gets hurt there. Keenan Allen is basically the only constant, even though he wasn't a constant in the playoffs last year, but that's neither here nor there. Defense is fairly strong. But, same token, Denver's defense and the secondary is the best secondary in the league. And then you got Von Miller, Brandon Chubb, but they didn't go for a quarterback, and they're going to go with Drew Lock or Teddy Bridgewater. So, again, I can differentiate amongst the 3 teams, the Chargers, the Raiders, or the Donkeys. But obviously Kansas City is going to be the top of the crop. Seems like Randall has an AFC playoff that has 19 teams in it, but none of the 3 AFC West stepchildren will be there.
I've just got the Dolphins.
No, I heard like 5 teams that are going to make it. Am I wrong?
The
6,
Ravens.
8 teams.
and the Colts in as wild card. 3 wild cards. I will go with the Chiefs, the Chargers,
Pizza's coming out of the oven, boys.
the Raiders, and the Broncos. Brandon?
Are the Chargers going to make your playoff?
No.
28?
It's hard to go against the Chiefs, but I'm going to. I'm going to say Chargers, Chiefs,
All right.
Denver, Raiders.
NFC East.
Do the Chiefs make the playoffs, in your opinion?
Yeah. I think they're coming in on a wild card this year.
NFC East, I will give you the Washington football team, the Dallas Cowboys, the Philadelphia Eagles, and the New York Giants. Robbie?
I mean, that's the most irrelevant division. I mean, you could just put them on dice and throw them out there. But yes, I mean, I agree. Washington, I think, probably wins. Then Dallas. The Giants and the Eagles may win 3 football games this year. I like Jalen Hurts. I think he seems like a good person. But he's put in an impossible situation. They'll probably win 3 or 4 games. So Washington, Dallas, the Giants with Barkley will get some play time, and then Jones guy from Duke. But yeah, I mean that's just a terrible division.
Yes. Raj?
Agreed. Washington wins on defensive alone. Dallas will find a way to muck it up. Philly is Philly. By the way, there was a recent article in The Athletic about basically surveying 30 agents of random topics, and the most distrustful GM by far was Howie Roseman of the Eagles. They're reeling. They won a championship 3 years ago, but it's Philly, so everyone gets mad. I think the Redskin defense, and I'm a minority, the Washington football team defense will be the best in the NFL. And they got Fitz, Magic. You don't have to do much behind that defense. They'll win it. Dallas will Dallas it up. A lot of people love the Giants, but Daniel Jones is Derek Carr light, and that means neither are winners. So I'm all WFT.
Shane?
I got Dallas. I think might actually make a breakthrough this year if Dak can stay healthy. Not a Dallas homeboy, but was an Emmitt Smith fan back in the day, so I'll roll with Dallas to win that this year. Injury prohibited. And then, Washington, best defense. That's going to be a close one. Obviously, Giants last. Philly just fits in where they get in.
You go ahead with the NFC West then. Seattle, the Rams, Cardinals, and 49ers.
Too short? Get in where you fit.
Yeah, right. I like the 49ers. I like 49ers, Seahawks, and then, sign up wherever after that. Pretty much those two.
Raj?
Even though I don't like them, despite their Los Angeles nature, I think Stafford, even though the line is suspect, takes them over the top. I think there are too many weapons on that team. Losing Cam Akers was deadly, though. That really hurt because I thought that guy would have been a top 5 running back in the league. And fantasy football spoiler, he would have been a very high pick for me. But, when the Rams lost John Johnson to the Browns, probably a top 3, if maybe the best safety in the league. However, I'm not a Trey Lance guy. Even though, the Niners defense is dope, Seattle's going to struggle. This is Carroll's last year. And who's the last? Oh, Arizona. Ooh. Arizona, I think, has done a great job. They fortified the middle, done great at linebacker. I think it's Arizona or the Rams.
All right.
I think the Niners will be one game behind both.
NFC West, Robbie.
Cool. So this is one of the tougher ones.
Yeah,
in
real tough.
in Russell Wilson, I trust. So, but I do like Kyler Murray in Arizona. I'm gonna go with Seattle's because it's a little tougher place to play. So I'm gonna say the home field advantage wins for Seattle. Seattle 1, Arizona 2. I think LA is number 3, and then I think San Francisco 4. I've been preaching this from the get-go of our show. I think San Francisco and the Jets blew their draft so far out of the way. I just think they just messed it up so bad. I want to be proven wrong, but until I'm proven wrong, I'm sticking to my opinion that they just messed it all up.
I'm going to play a little bit of a devil's advocate here, and I'm going to go with the Rams, Seattle, Arizona, and the Niners. I'm very tempted to put
That's what I said.
3 teams in the playoffs from this division, but I'll just stay with the Rams and the Seahawks make playoffs. NFC North, we'll start with Rod.
Green Bay, kind of like Alabama. I do think they're in for a letdown. Justin Fields I think it's going to take a period for him to adjust the game. So I'm going, obviously, Green Bay, Minnesota. I think they rebound. If they don't, Zimmer's gone. Detroit, and then the Bears.
Robbie Davis.
Green Bay, as long as Aaron Rodgers is there. I got Minnesota second. I think Fields starts probably week 3. I like them as number 3, and then Detroit finishing last as usual.
I'll give you the Green Bay Packers, the Chicago Bears. The Bears are a wild card team. And then I'll give you the Vikings and the Saints and Brandon Chain.
Yeah, I got Green Bay, Minnesota. I do have the Bears next. I think Fields actually starts week 2. And then, whoever's last.
All right, the most important division in football, the NFC South. We'll start with Robbie Davis.
Detroit.
The NFC South.
Yes.
So this is Tampa, and then
That's it.
I mean, I guess just pick from a few. I guess Atlanta, then Carolina, and New Orleans, but it's just Tampa's division. That's it.
All right.
That's it. That's all I got to say. Sorry, Randall. Atlanta, nothing. Rest of them, nothing. It's all Saints. Big step back. Kamara won't make it through the year. I do like Tennessee grad Marquez Callaway, another guy that was entirely underused underneath Butch. But, they're done. It's Tampa and Tampa only.
Jane, who do you got?
I like Tampa Saints, and then flip a coin.
All right.
Hey, by the way, Shy Tuttle is starting on defense for the Saints, I think, in the 4-3. Wasn't that another Tennessee guy?
Yep.
I think you're going to get
Another
some.
guy didn't do anything at Tennessee, but seems to have an NFL career. Oh,
Hey.
wait.
Hey, sorry guys.
Day one
My
was
remote,
last year.
my remote office is not as happy as my local office about me being on the show for 2.5 hours. So
Based on that chandelier in the curtains.
So to controls outside of my control, I'm gonna have to get off here with my my wisdom.
With your wife telling you to get off.
all being here.
Yes,
All right, man.
she's right.
Well,
She's right.
you got to bet your nuts.
What's
bet
that?
my nuts. Bet my nuts. Hell yeah.
We hear you,
Kyle
Allison.
Larson-
She's like,
Talk about bet your nuts.
Kyle Larson to win Sunday, and then
All right.
also, and wait, and parlay that with me picking the best team on Saturday.
All right. We'll parlay that out. Davis, you already said it.
Right.
All right,
Heard
I
also
gotta go,
right.
guys.
All right. So I'm going to give you my
Peace.
pick and my bet your nuts. My division picks are New Orleans, Atlanta. Tampa, Atlanta, New Orleans, and Carolina. My bet your nuts is the Falcons over 7.5 games. Lock it in. The Falcons win 9 games at least. All right, that's our division.
Ooh.
Raj, do you have a bet your nuts?
I don't know, but the three of us look far more better looking than when Rob is here. And Allison certainly yanked the chain, but no pun
I can't
intended
believe
to
we
either
went
of
this
you.
long. You remember before we started?
Tell me about it.
We only had 2 topics.
My bet your nuts is the Dodgers win the series in San Diego. Not necessarily a provocative pick. Right now it's 1-0, and AJ Pollock just robbed Jerk Machado of a home run, like went over the fence, a la Bellinger in the NLDS last year. But they'll win 2 out of 3, and they may sweep. And the Dodgers line up their pitchers. They only have 3 healthy pitchers. After Urias coming off the DL, Mookie's expected back in 2 days. So if I had the nuts, I would say Dodgers in a sweep. But I'll say Dodgers 2 out of 3 at San Diego.
Brandon, you got a bet.
Yeah. So I'm going to go preseason on Saturday during our draft.
Oh, nice.
We're going to go a little Titans-Bears action. I'm going to say Fields is starting at least the first 2 quarters. Titans are probably pretty much done with their tryouts. It's going to be a bunch of scrubs pretty much. So I'm going to go bet your nuts on the Bears pulling that one off at the Titan Stadium.
What's the spread? Do we know?
I can't remember what it is. I'm sorry, I wasn't prepared for this, but
nor was I, nor did I care until you mentioned it.
Yeah, I
So,
mean,
let me check
I
here.
think we're favored. I would say probably like 3 or 4.
I see it. Chicago, actually, Chicago at 2.5.
Okay,
Because as you say, a lot more starters need to play for Chicago
for sure
than for Tennessee.
And that's what I was reading into it, prior to even seeing the spread. So
Bears minus 2.5. Still the Bears?
I'd still take the Bears. Yeah.
Gotcha. Agreed. By the way, is Robbie still talking to his wife after getting lectured and not turning off his microphone? Because I hear that.
I have not. Randall, I can't hear whenever he talks right now, so I don't know what's going on.
I hear Robbie getting lectured.
Oh, no. It's all good. Hey, thank you guys for letting me jump on here late. I've been watching it the whole time and fully involved. So it's a great show. Again, thank you for having me.
Absolutely. You're welcome.
Can you hear Randall?
Randall, can you hear anyone? Yeah, dude, you sound like you're on a like in Tokyo and Godzilla just stepped into the picture and you're on like a weather radio.
He can hear. I can't hear him.
All right. Hey, for Randall, Brandon Chain, Robbie Davis, I'm stepping in for the greatest host ever. We'll see you next week. This is 3R plus Brandon Chain, who's
3R plus
far
one.
better looking than the other 2 guys I work with. But we'll see you next week live from our fantasy draft.
All right, boys.
Peace.
Enjoyed it.